What's up, guys? Welcome to Rumor Wave. Everything you're going to hear in this video is considered a rumor. However, there's a lot of backing to these rumors, and it seems like it's starting to pick up steam now online as more and more people are talking about it, and some sources are kind of making it a bit public. Now, the information actually has been kind of making the rounds a bit behind the scenes. In fact, if you've been listening to Spawncast, you may have heard about a couple times where it was alluded to that a direct could be taking place in November. Well, it seems to be getting put out there more and more so, even with a range of dates, which we're going to talk about that as well, and maybe what you could expect from the direct. One thing's for sure, though, it's the next few months are going to be kind of interesting, so you might want to make sure you subscribe because there's going to be a lot of information coming out. So with that shameless plug out of the way, oh yeah, and like the video. With that shameless plug out of the way, let's get into what's going on right now. So Leaky Panda actually made this public on their Twitter profile and their Twitter their account that they're putting out tweets. They had a full thread, and you're going to see part of it here. I'll also link to that thread in the description below, so you can go check it out for yourself, where they do name a Nintendo Direct November 5th to the 9th, somewhere in there. Now, I don't know exactly when either Direct is going to happen. I say either because it looks like, believe it or not, that there could be two Nintendo Directs in November. One's pretty obvious, the other one's a little more surprising. In fact, I didn't really even believe that there would be another Direct for a while. The first time that this was really being discussed, kind of behind the scenes from different people and sources, was like mid-October. So it's been talked about. No, I'm sorry, it was the end of September going into October. It's mid-October now, going into October. It was weird when I heard it then, and I was kind of like, yeah, really? Two Directs? Okay. And now more and more people are bringing that information and talking about it. So even if I can't really figure out what they're going to show at this Direct, which we're going to talk about, yeah, it looks like there's going to be a full Nintendo Direct of some kind, and then a Smash Direct. Smash Direct's pretty obvious, right? I mean, I think everyone figures with that part that was blurred out on the title screen that there would be something to talk about there, right? They would talk about a single player, since, of course, it's Smash Ultimate, so a lot of people are expecting a single player, or even a bit more about the online, because they showed a little messaging icon. We expect that there'll probably be messaging invites, maybe even some kind of like a room setup, matchmaking that you can put everyone into a room and go against other randoms. That would all be really cool, but there's definitely a lot more information to be had about Smash. There are still more characters, actually, that they need to show off, and it's more than one, so there's going to be a couple places where they'll have to put it, but they could put one in the beginning of their Smash Direct and one at the end, and then maybe one in this other Direct. But a Smash Direct, not surprising. However, I do think the Smash Direct will take place in the back half of November, so in the last 2 weeks, even sometime after November 20th, leading up to that Smash release. It makes sense, right? That's another good way to really kick off the Smash launch and everything, get a lot of hype going. You put maybe your biggest character reveal in that one. I know Ridley was pretty big, but let's get a little crazy and put something really big there leading up to it where people lose their minds. You know, you see online people jumping out of their chair and stuff. That's what you want there. But what about this other Direct? Because it's interesting to hear about another Nintendo Direct, and I probably will ruin some hype here when I say, no, you're not going to hear about that Switch revision there. That still is a little bit of a ways off if it's even true and correct. That's more rumor than this Direct, I'll say that. They wouldn't want to reveal that until it's ready to come out a few months later. We saw what happened with the Xbox One X and the Scorpio announcement. You remember what happened there, where they announced the Scorpio and then a year and a half went by before it actually released, and Xbox One sales were down, they were stagnant, and it was pretty clear some people were just waiting for the X to come out. Why buy the weaker, cheaper model when you can wait and get the X? And when the X came out, there was a nice spike of sales, probably because people were waiting, and that affected Xbox One sales pretty heavily. So no, I wouldn't expect any of that. What I would expect, though, maybe some stuff around release dates. Because keep in mind, this November Direct would probably set up their fourth quarter more so than a January Direct would. A January Direct would help to solidify the fourth quarter. A November Direct would probably work to set it up. The January Direct would be like a nice big blowout going into the final part of their fiscal year, where they're looking to sell 20 million more Switch units. Now we're going to find out more about where they are in about a week and a half when they talk to investors and put out actual solid numbers, which we'll go over here and see how that is, because that'll give us a nice little window into how much they have to really work with Pokemon and Smash coming up. Do they really need to put more in to get there? And they might have to. So a November Direct would probably help them out with that. Things like Demon X Machina, that could find its way out in February maybe. That might be like an early February release to get out ahead of Anthem. And we're also seeing Metro and maybe Crackdown. At this point, who knows when Crackdown really is coming out. But that would be a good game to get out there. And then we also have, of course, the new Super Mario Bros. We already know what's coming out, but another little push there to say, hey, you know, new Super Mario Bros. Make sure you get that in January after you got your Switch for Christmas. And then possibly a little more information about Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now, that could be something that is their big January Direct to really kick off that, and that could be one of the big focal points. But they also have Animal Crossing. We've seen no gameplay for that. If there is this Nintendo Direct that everyone is talking about, that a lot of people are corroborating this thing, then I feel like it would be mostly focusing on 2019, early 2019 stuff. They could focus on some mid-2019 stuff, but I think this is there to really help solidify and put over the top for that 20 million Switch. Like, I look at Animal Crossing as a summer release, so that would fall into the following fiscal year. So Animal Crossing, that they might show more about that, but honestly, they need to start thinking about how they're going to sell Switch units in January, February, and March. So there's also a possibility that they have another game ready to reveal. Remember, Luigi's Mansion kind of just showed up and was like 2019. I feel like that would make more sense towards October, Halloween. I mean, they could push that up. It's very possible. It looked like they had made a lot of progress and it was developed pretty far, but I think the front half will be Demon X Machina, the new Super Mario Bros., and then probably Fire Emblem. I feel like they're going to get Fire Emblem out in March, and that actually makes a lot of sense. But the big question now is, what other games could they show up with that we don't know about? That is actually a really good question. And I think you're kind of thinking, like me, what they could show here, because I don't think... Okay, so Metroid Prime Trilogy is probably getting announced at the Game Awards. Could they announce that at the November presser here where they do the Direct? Yeah, they could, but I think that makes a lot more sense to put into that Game Awards show and then maybe do something with Metroid Prime 4 since you have the American audience, specifically their attention, and that's where Metroid does well. So let's get Retro Studios out there. Let's do it. Let's get this Star Fox game out there and show it off. The big thing is, though, if Star Fox Grand Prix, which we're pretty confident is real and it's coming, when would they release it? Because if they're going to show it in the November Direct, I would expect that to be ready to go for the final part of this fiscal year, basically anytime before March 31st. So could that be... Like, is that possible if that could be their March release and maybe Fire Emblem actually falls into April? Yeah, it could be. It's also possible that Fire Emblem could show up in February and the Star Fox game could show up in March, and maybe Demon X Machina is actually not ready until the summer or even the fall, which would be weird because we saw them play it at E3 for how long? They sat around playing it for 20, 30 minutes. It felt like it was very far along and pretty close to being done, and I don't think that's a big budget game for them, so it's very possible that they could release that in tandem with another game in the same month, so you could have Fire Emblem in February, and you could have Demon X Machina in February, maybe one in the beginning and one towards the end, because it would kind of just 1-2 punch that towards the end of that fiscal year. I feel like with Star Fox being at an all-time high right now with Starlink, everyone's buying into Starlink because of that R-Wing. I think enough of the initial sales will be through for them to talk about Star Fox Grand Prix sometime in November. And we see what Leaky Panda's thinking there, and the 5th to the 9th. It would probably have to be in the first half of November if they are planning a late November Smash Bros. Direct. You could also have some indie games there. Wargroove got pushed to the first quarter of 2019. We know Shakedown Hawaii is also coming out in the first half of 2019 from what we're seeing. So I think you could see both of those there maybe with some release dates. Maybe you see more about Windjammers 2. There, like I said, there could be some smaller games that kind of fill in some of the gaps, but something like Star Fox Grand Prix would also probably help Starlink sales, especially if that's not coming till months and months later and Starlink's there for the holidays. So that's kind of where I am with this. I think Metroid Prime Trilogy would skip this Direct and hold off even Metroid Prime 4 for the Game Awards. Probably a CG trailer for Metroid Prime 4 to show us where just the direction of the story. Metroid Prime Trilogy, similar to what we saw with the Bayonetta collection and then Bayonetta 3. Think of something like that, right? Star Fox is probably the big anchor of the whole Direct. I think Fire Emblem might be shown, and yeah, I'm gonna say Daemon X Machina will be also dated. Those are the big ones I think there. But I'm curious what you guys think. I know someone's gonna say Mother 3 down in the comments, so all right, Mother 3, we'll go with that. Eventually, we have to be right with Mother 3, don't we? I mean, it has to happen eventually. Reggie has to get through to them in Japan, I guess. I don't know. We'll see all of that, though. But let me know what you guys think about these rumors down below. Let me know if you think a full Direct is actually happening in November, or you think that's too much because the January Direct's coming up as well. So would it be repetitive to hear about it then and then more about it in January? Or maybe you're excited. I mean, it's been quiet in the Nintendo camp. It has been. There's not a lot of news coming out from them. So maybe they are saving up for a November Direct and then a Smash Direct. And maybe they do a little more hyping up in that November Direct for Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Maybe it makes sense. Let me know what you guys think about this down below, though. I'm very curious. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.